The United Nations 1948 Universal Declaration of Human Rights states everyone has the right to the freedom of opinion and expression. This right includes freedom to hold opinions without interference and to seek, receive, and impart information and ideas through any media, regardless of frontiers. Canada strongly believes that media freedom remains an important part of democratic societies and essential to the protection of human rights and fundamental freedoms. People need free media to provide them with accurate information and informed analysis to hold governments to account. And we in Metis Warrior Media Group hold the Metis governments to account. Section 2B of the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms states that everyone has the freedom of thought, belief, opinion, and expression, including freedom of the press and other media of communication. Hello everyone, welcome to another edition of Metis Warrior here with Timothy and Alexandria.
Hello everybody.
So, we'd like to start off the show by saying thanks to everyone who's been with us over the years, supporting us behind the scenes. And we say that because when we first started, just to give a little history of Metis Warrior here, originally it was just Alexandria by herself. So she started speaking out for about a good month by herself, and then I came on board. So after I came on board, I think we were doing it just me and her for about 2 or 3 months after that by ourselves. Nobody else wanted anything to touch this. Nobody else wanted to speak out against corruption because they might have had somebody that was going to school or something and they were trying to get money from one of the organizations we were speaking out about or what have you. So after that, we started having a bunch of people come behind the scenes and helping us uncover a lot of information. So we want to give a thanks to those people, because when you think of Metis Warrior, you think of the two voices that you hear, Timothy and Alexandria. However, there's many people that's been with us over the years behind the scenes that you have not became aware of. And so, but we know who they are, and we want to thank them for being there with us.
It's been a journey of a couple of years, like Timothy just said. And you know what? I have to reiterate this fact. Timothy and I have been literally on the front lines in the trenches, taking on corruption, lack of transparency, lack of accountability with the MNC and the MMF. And let's face it, anybody that has some semblance of intelligence, they know how the MMF and the MNC are. Everybody's known that for years and years and years. You know, we know David Chartrand's been the dictator president for over 26 years, and he's really got an ironclad grip on the MMF, and you can clearly see by our past shows or what goes on in social media, it's all about the money, folks. It's not about the Métis people. It's about having control of the money pot. That's all it is. And again, they keep saying this threat from Ontario and Eastern Canada. It's the fear of having to divide the money pot. And let's face it, you're just a number to access funding from the federal government. It's not about your rights, about collective rights. It's about having these leaders distributing the money or having access to all these millions and millions of dollars. So, you know, we need more Métis people to really become awake and aware and start protesting and standing your ground, voicing your opinion. Like Timothy said, there is a fear of people stepping forward of what could happen to them. And, you know, we all have to unite together against this poison, this toxic poison that's going on within the MMF and the MNC, folks.
And again, we've been doing this for 3 years, and we know that all of a sudden you have groups popping up in the last month or two, And they're taking a very peace, love, and happiness approach to fighting corruption. They're only able to do that today because of all the hard work that we've done over the last 3 years when people were scared to speak out. So you have these lambs coming up, and they're out there, and they're trying to speak out now. They got a little more confidence because of the foundation that the Metis Warrior Media Group has laid out there. And so they're trying to speak up, and they're taking the wrong approach. Because you cannot fight corruption and misappropriation and being screwed over by these leaders with a peace, love, and happiness deal. Now, I'd like for you to take a look at your screen and read that. It says the Metis Warrior Media Group. People have said we're controversial. They said that we're aggressive. It does. Now, read it again. Metis Warrior Media Group. We are not the Metis Candy Ass Media Group. That is not us. We're Metis Warrior. Look up the word if you don't understand what that means. Metis Warrior Media Group. We're out there fighting corruption so that the lambs can come out and speak out. And they're starting to get a little bit of recognition, these lambs. But take a look at this. If we were to drop out of the fight, they would lose because of the way that they choose to fight corruption. The way that they choose to fight people that's been screwing over the Metis people out there. One of the things that I want people to understand is Clem Chartier is poison to the Metis Nation. He is absolute poison to the Metis Nation. Why are we saying that? If you look at the audit that happened, where all the forms were tampered with, it was clear that when I say tampered with, in the audit itself, it found that the forms had different fonts. Now, I'm assuming that if you're listening to this show, you got some common sense about you, right? So if the forms have been tampered with and they were hiding things and not giving total access for the audit, well, how in the hell did either Clem Chartier not get prosecuted for this or someone else within the MNC avoid prosecution? Keep in mind, they could not get away with the things they're getting away with if they did not have some type of support either in law enforcement or in political office. So the question that we ask, has politicians or law enforcement been receiving some type of money, either themselves or their family members, from the MMF, the MNC, David Chartrand, or Chartier? That is a question that we are asking. We have every right to ask that question because the toxic people in the Metis Nation, these people should not be involved in the Metis Nation anymore because they are severe toxins in our Metis Nation. If we want the Metis Nation to be strong, if we want the Metis Nation to have fair treatment for all Metis citizens, if we want the Metis Nation to have equality, then you have to get rid of Clem Chartier, you have to get rid of David Chartrand, and you have to get rid of Will Goudon. They have had their nothing but nepotism, and I mean, it goes back, folks. You can look at all the nepotism that's occurred in the MMF and in the MNC for the last few years, and I mean, and even beyond that, and it's just to the point of ridiculousness. And we have to have fair leaders elected. We have to have fair elections out there. And so when people say that we're controversial and people say that we're aggressive, that's how we have to be in order to fight corruption. Because keep in mind, none of you were there with us 3 years ago when we stepped up to the plate to do this. We took all the risks. And now, recently, the lambs want to come up and they want to try to speak out. But you do that knowing that we've paved the path for you to be able to do that.
And we're doing the right thing. And again, to sort of summarize what Timothy has been saying, we all know that this has been going on really since the inception of the MMF, MNC. We all know what's going on, and people just choose to turn away and say, well, what can really I do about it? Well, certainly banding together and raising the concerns against your Metis governing body and giving yourself a voice. And we've given a lot of Metis people the opportunity to have their voices heard on our platform, and we have a lot of listeners on our platform. So it gives you the opportunity to say what you have to say on what's going in your part of the Métis world. And it's very important that every Métis person has a voice, and no one is silenced by Chartrand or Chartier or Will Goudon. And we all know that they are actually practicing colonialism by dividing and conquering the Métis people, and that is the way of the colonialist. And
they're destroying the Metis Nation. These three, Chartrand, Chartier, and Goudon, are destroying the Metis Nation. Make no mistake about that. They are the threat to the Metis Nation. Recently, there was a Metis Nation Citizens Forum 2. It was called. The true title for that should have been the Metis Nepotism Forum. And let me tell you something. That is that just speaks volumes. They all over the place saying that they didn't silence people, blah blah blah. We're going to get more into that, okay? But first, what we want to get into is why has, after the audit that I just referred to, and if you want to know more about the audit, scroll down our videos, and we do have a video on the audit, and we're going to be talking more about it in upcoming shows. That audit was so screwed up, and nobody's been held accountable for all that misappropriation, all that shady crap that's been going on. I mean, it speaks volumes that nobody was prosecuted for that. I don't understand it. And so we're trying to dig deeper into finding out how in the hell did anybody avoid prosecution after that audit, what really happened. And you need to ask yourself, who's been bought off? Because it's sure to me, it seems like, and that's the question, who's been bought off? Because it seems that way. It seems that someone has been bought and paid for by the MNC or the MMF. Because Chartier was stepping down right after that. He was jumping ship, as we said in other shows. And he was no longer president. But ain't he president right now?
Mm-hmm. So to put a sort of an example to maybe a lot of people can relate to, the Canadian Revenue Agency, if you fraudulently put information on your tax return, you fudge your tax returns, you can bet your bottom dollar
your ass
that the CRA is going to come after you. And a lot of people end up in jail for falsifying your taxes, not claiming income, fudging expenses. And that's exactly what the audit happened. In the audit was not providing proper disbursements, fudging expenses, and re-altering paperwork. So that's exactly what happened. So why is the normal everyday person, as an
prosecuted?
Example, yeah, like the CRA, you could end up in prison, but yet the MNC got away with
rigging paperwork.
I
mean, if the forms don't match, the fonts on the forms, folks, this shows you how sloppy they were at hiding stuff. The fonts did not match. If you don't know what the word font means, pause the damn video, educate yourself, and come back and finish watching the show, or either, whatever.
But I think a lot of people out there, again, just turn a blind eye. They turn their face away. They don't want to get involved in controversy. They just want to sit on the sidelines and watch other people go to battle for the Métis people. And, Métis people, we have a right to have a transparent, accountable, and non-corrupt organization leading us when we negotiate, example, with the federal government, with what have you, that we have a right to have that. And with the MMF and the MNC, that has never happened. Never.
And we got a right to speak out about it. As you know, Alexandria has been an MMF citizen for many, many years. And so, as you know that, she's been speaking out against the corruption within her government. And she has a right to do that. These people have tried to silence her, which is a violation of the laws of the United Nations, and it's a violation of the Canadian laws. But they've been somewhat successful at avoiding prosecution. Who the hell is supporting this? What politicians is involved in this? And this is what we're digging deeper into. And I think you're going to be shocked in the upcoming show as to just how they managed to wiggle their way out of the mess of that audit. And Alexandria did a comparison as far as that audit and taxes go. But yeah, if you hide receipts, if you misappropriate tax funds, that's bullshit.
Well, yeah, and you know what, folks? We've been in the trenches. We've been on the front lines for many, many years. And again, we'd like to thank everybody that's been there alongside of us. And today's show, we're going to touch on various items that pertain to the recent Metis Nation Citizens Forum 2.
Nepotism Forum.
Which was held March 20th and March 21st, 2021.
Let me say something about
Saturday
that.
and Sunday. Go ahead.
They try to sound patriotic, and this is what I want you to know. These are no patriots. Believe that. They are no patriots. They want to seem patriotic by saying the Metis Nation Forum 2. No, the Citizens Forum or whatever. No, they're not patriotic. They're trying to maintain control of the funds, and these people, they do not need to be in power. We need fair leaders in power. It was a nepotism forum, 100%. It was bullshit.
And at this particular Citizens Forum 2, one of the co-chairs, of course, was Will Goudon, and the other co-chair was Kathy Hodgson Smith. And before I go into what we're going to talk about today, I want to sort of give a quote from a Metis leader, and it kind of really rings true, and I quote, "At the forum, David Chartrand made his stand. The Metis politics of the future are for hope." And that's what we need. We need hope to get away from the corruption, nepotism, lack of transparency and accountability. And the politics of the Metis politics of the past, and this statement is really, really true, are entrenched in privilege. And that's what we have to tear down, that wall of Métis privilege of people like David Chartrand, Clem Chartier, and Will Goudon, end of quote. And I think what thing that really bothers me too is the event was hosted by the MNC President, and he's really been the MNC President for life, Clem Chartier, and it's a position, and we've shown you before, and you'll see throughout the show.
But he was jumping ship, folks, right after that audit. Remember that.
APTN News, November 6, 2019, and other news reported this, that Clem Chartier was stepping aside as MNC President. And, you know, we all know that he has never stepped aside. You go to the MNC website, he gives his monthly president's speech, so he always uses the title of MNC President. That was all bogus. That was smoke, smoke.
No, what that was avoidance of prosecution. After the audit was so horrible, it did look like there was going to be prosecution of somebody. It looked very close to that happening. Some kind of way they got out of that. How?
Yeah, I mean, that was just an outright lie. That was trickery, and that was a lie, because he's never stepped down or stepped back of being the MNC president. I think that really what bothers me about this forum is how they're stressing the point against, again, identity, citizenship, and homeland. Those three statements really, you know exactly where it's going to head to, right where it's going to veer to right away. And that really, really scares me when you have that title there. And it's just sickening.
Homeland, that bogus homeland map. And you know why? Let me tell you something. They want people to self-declare for elections to try to get certain people elected, okay? As we know is what's probably going to happen in Saskatchewan. Just go ahead and vote whatever, and then what you think is going to happen when you come for benefits and stuff like that after you've done elected somebody? What do you think is going to happen? You think they're going to actually do anything for you? It's all smoke and mirrors, folks. And yet they put out this bogus homeland map trying to support that. But how many non-Indigenous people do they actually use? And when they discard their own Métis people, and let's talk about David Chartrand supporting the police in Winnipeg who's murdered Indigenous people. Even Daryl LaRoe pulled out of that forum, that nepotism forum, because he felt disgusted, obviously, from the fact that they were supporting the Winnipeg police that were murdering Indigenous people. And the MMF gave a thank you to the Winnipeg police. But they try to backtrack on that, and we'll get more into that later.
Well, yeah, because as we've known for many, many years, Daryl LaRoe has been used as a propaganda puppet for the MNC and MMF on his take on identity. And I'm really offended, and I think all of you listening should be offended. Daryl LaRoe is a white professor, and I'm going to use the term, it's not a racial term, I'll backtrack. Daryl LaRoe is a non-indigenous professor that I don't know how he has a right to talk about race, identity, and his famous word, race shifters. Really, he has no capacity to speak on that. So I guess they lost their keynote speaker on this.
But look how many other people showed up that clearly didn't mind the thank you note to the police that were killing indigenous people. That thank you note that the MMF put out, they still showed up for the Nepotism Forum. What kind of financial benefits have they been reaping? And trust me, it's only few that reap the benefits.
And all over social media, the Metis National Council was saying, and this is the key word, I want you to pay very, very attention. It says they had a dialogue with Metis Nation Leaders. Again, they're addressing President Clem Chartier as the president of the MNC, President David Chartrand of the MMF. And here, listen closely. As we know, Metis Nation of BC suspended their president, but the MNC has the audacity to include President Clara Morin Dalcal, and this was a meeting that was held by Zoom.
And this is supposed to be a democracy. You have, by your own rules, we have a suspended president from British Columbia who is allowed to represent herself as a president, and it's clearly a slap in the face to the own rules that's set up within the Métis governments. I mean, they've done nothing but crap on the Métis Nation of British Columbia. That's what they're good at doing. And why do they want Clara in the British Columbia Métis Nation president to be president of the Métis Nation of British Columbia? It's clear. It's clear what their plans is. Look at this. If they put Chartier into Saskatchewan and they can get Clara back into the Métis Nation of British Columbia, their plan is very simple. It seems like they want to get rid of self-governance, and they want to put them back under an administration thing. That's what it seems to us. Are we wrong? Chartier, Chartrand, Goudon, y'all invited to the show to answer that question. What is your ultimate plan there? How could you have a suspended president show up and represent herself as a president? Why didn't you use one of the people that was actually on the board? Why didn't you use the acting president of the Métis Nation of British Columbia? That's the question.
Well, we all know that Clara Morin Dalcal has broken her suspension several times. This is another example of that. We also know that she's chosen, just like the MMF and MNC, the colonial route to take a lawsuit against the Métis Nation of BC and not do the Senate. So she fits three national leaders that I wouldn't even call Clara Morin Dalcal a leader. I retract on that. Using the colonial system against the Métis people, the agenda for this citizen forum too. And I'm going to just talk on one of the people here, because they had to work fast to replace probably Daryl LaRoe. He probably pulled out at the last minute, and you'll see on where you'll note that John Weinstein, an author, but a lot of you may not know who John Weinstein is. And there was a posting in 2018 by Jamie Morse, and she was the assistant to Clem Chartier for many, many, many years. And she alleges she's asking why people weren't asking about why the MNC was paying John Weinstein for all those years to live half of his time in Ottawa in a hotel, while living in San Francisco too. And apparently this Jamie, who was again Chartier's assistant, said that John Weinstein is a non-Métis consultant. And we know again Daryl LaRoe is a non-Indigenous, non-Métis consultant professor.
But I want to put it out there that we don't know this man's genealogy. We're basing it on what this lady's saying. This is what she said. And so we want to be clear about that. And if he is non-Métis, then why in the hell is he a consultant? And why? So let's look at it. We know that they support the colonial system. They support the colonial system. The MMF and the MNC has been no better than the colonial system. The colonial system came over and tried to wipe out the indigenous culture. The MNC and the MMF is following under that same process because they're trying to eliminate a lot of the Métis.
Yeah, but the homeland, don't kid yourself, people. The homeland is all about money. And the more that the homeland spreads out, the more that the money has to be split, dispersed, and shared. And that's, that goes against the grain for Chartier, Chartrand, and Will Goudon. And I'm going to read a few things from the agenda, and I don't want to spend too much time because you'll see the nepotism and everybody that was included in the agenda, the MNC, MMF, they really stacked the deck with people that are loyal to the MNC, and they're loyal to this propaganda against the East invasion and this blue blob fake homeland map. And we know that Darren O'Toole, professor, he was part of the Leroux O'Toole report. John Weinstein, again, as author. L. Benoit, I had a run-in personally with him. What a piece of work. He's the chief of staff. Then we get into Jean Tayette, of course, was there. She's completely for the MMF, MNC. And Taylor Goudon, Métis Youth.
Is that a relative of Will Goudon's?
I can almost guarantee, and you know what, that's a relative of Will Goudon's. Three, you're stacking the deck as well.
It seems like it would be a relative with the same last name at the same event. I mean, we're asking the question. Is that a relative? I mean, here's the thing. The forum was nothing but bullshit. That was what the forum was, bullshit. The forum was a chance to try to get out there and brainwash people and try to get people to support these people and have them still be in control of all the money. Why would you want the same people in control of the money? The organizations are established. Put new leadership there that's going to be fair and not all about their immediate family and close friends. I mean, come on, man. That's nepotism at its finest. We need to be fair representative. When they get this tax dollars in, you give up your rights to these organizations. Canada gives these organizations money for you, for them having your rights. And what do? They don't want to give you the money. They don't want to do the right things with the money. And so why keep these people in? I just can't understand it for the life of me. So what I do know is there's a few that is benefiting financially, and they'll go all over social media and support the MNC and the MMF all the way to the end. But let me explain this. Why have the forum and not have the AGM for the MNC? It's been said Chartier didn't want to have the AGM for the MNC because his attitude is, if we're going to lose, why have the AGM? Okay, that's not a democracy then. This becomes a dictatorship. There is no democracy in that. If you're going to lose, why have the AGM? Are you crazy? What you want to do is have a democratic process, and if you lose, you lose. And it's probably because you haven't done the right things while you were in office.
And I want to share a statement of a person that attended this conference here. I'm not even going to call it a forum, a citizens forum, because it was a deck stacked forum. It wasn't a real citizens forum. And I quote, "This is the third invasion, and we will win," Chartrand's closing words at the MNC conference on identity. So they're defending the definition of Métis citizen by keeping the MNO out and allowing self-declarance of citizenship in Saskatchewan. Pretty intense situation with Métis. Chartrand wants a Métis war. We know that. Chartrand wants a war, divide and conquer. He thinks
to destroy the Metis Nation, and he doesn't care as long as force is for himself.
Chartrand wants a Métis war. Don't give it to them. They take ideological and personal shots. Don't listen. They want you to believe this is about our nation while admitting it's about power. Listen to them. And this is what was said at the meeting. "We won't call an AGM because we'll lose control," they said. No ambiguity there None whatsoever.
No democracy. There's no democracy. They don't want democracy. They made it clear they want control of the money. And it's been nepotism, nepotism, nepotism. I mean, good God, folks, wake the hell up out there, man.
And you'll see in a screenshot, too, and this is the garbage that comes out of Will Goudon's mouth, the absolute garbage. And Will Goudon is talking about the forum. Every view was valued. No one was silenced, and he takes a shot at the Metis Nation of BC, and he says underneath there, unlike a couple recent assemblies, and he says the Metis Nation patriots are rising to stand for the integrity of our nation from every corner. And it says, it's too bad that a few presidents were so scared to listen to Metis citizens at a citizens forum. And he also goes on, the bullshit goes on, proud to work with real leaders who are not afraid of our citizens. You know what, Will Goudon? I'm going to stop you right there. You're full of shit. Yes, you're saying that the leaders are not afraid of the citizens. Well, you know what? David Chartrand, Clem Chartier, Will Goudon, you are afraid of me because I'm one of your citizens and you've never had the balls or the guts to answer the phone, send a reply email, or come on our show. So you know what, Will Goudon, you are a liar.
And as we are the largest Metis media group out there, the largest, I'm going to ask you this question. Why in the hell have you not came on to the show? Why have you not came on and addressed the concerns? I don't understand that. I have no idea other than the fact that, you know, we're going to ask the tough questions. You know, we know about the financials. So you know we're going to throw up some questions that you're going to just be caught off guard, and you're going to be like stuttering. You're just going to be stuttering all over the place and trying to figure out how you're going to answer the question when we ask you the questions. And so it'd be great if these people were about transparency. Come on to our damn show. And again, to say that you're accessible to the citizens, again, you're not. How many times has Alexandria reached out to y'all, and what do? They block.
Well, I'm blocked by the MMF on Twitter, and at one time Will Goudon did block me on Twitter, but we had reached out to Carolyn Bennett's office and showed a screenshot of Will Goudon blocking me, and all of a sudden the unblock came on. But this is the toxic waste that is coming out of Will Goudon, and he takes another shot. And like the quote I said to you, where this person is correct, they take shots, personal shots at people. And here is another Will Goudon on Twitter. I find it very unsettling that the president of the Metis Nation of Saskatchewan is so worried that grassroots Metis citizens will be able to speak directly to leadership. Bull crap. We're considered grassroots Métis, and we haven't been able to speak
Nothing
to you.
but lies.
Not once. So this is the propaganda, the toxic
He's talking
waste.
about the lambs. The lambs. The lambs. That's who he wants to speak to, not to the people that's really pissed off about corruption.
But you know what? I almost brought up my lunch now, and I'm going to read the bottom of that thing that he put on Twitter, and it says, we should be encouraging for people democracy, not discouraging. Like, is there any end to this toxic waste that comes out of this guy's mouth? One lie.
It's called diarrhea of the mouth.
Because he's referring to you'll see it in a screenshot, March 19th, 2021 letter that was addressed to Clem Chartier of the Métis National Council. It was from Glenn McCullum, the president of the Métis Nation of Saskatchewan. And he says, I write to you today with regards to the forum, the schedule of an event to engage directly with Métis citizens without, and this is the key, without involvement of 4 of the 5 Métis governments, demonstrates the ongoing weaponization of the funds the Secretariat received from the federal government and the utter disrespect you have for our government structures. It is disappointing to see you once again try to tear our nation apart instead of building it up. So obviously, Will Goudon, you're full of shit. Complete full of shit.
Who wrote that again?
That was Glenn McCullum, the Métis Nation of Saskatchewan president. We're here, Will Goudon.
Well, that's another poster child for transparency, right, Glenn?
But I mean, Will Goudon's all over social media saying that the leaders are approachable. They're able to talk to the citizens. Well, what citizens? Just the select citizens that are bought and paid by the MNC and the MMF? Certainly not an everyday citizen.
You know who I feel bad about? I feel bad about the people in Saskatchewan. I feel sorry for them because they're in a tough spot. Here you have Glenn McCollum, who has not been transparent, and he's been more of the same because he's been with these people before. At one time they were united and they fell out, but he's kept some of their bad habits. So when it comes to the election, who in the hell do you vote for? I mean, you know, where's the transparency? Where's the willingness for the leaders to come out and speak to the people? If you want to speak to the people, our show is here. Glenn McCollum, you invited to the show.
Yeah, but it takes courage and it takes balls to come on and speak the truth and talk about transparency. So, Will Goudon, you're full of shit. And here you'll see Tony Belcourt. So there's so many people saying that this forum was a crock of shit. So Tony Belcourt says the executives of the MNC and Manitoba Métis Federation are cowards. That's his words. Holding a so-called forum on Métis citizenship to spread falsehoods and distort history about the Métis Nation of Ontario and him without inviting us to participate and defend the truth shows they have no integrity.
So no democracy. No democracy there. It's a bunch of lies, folks. Folks, they've lied to you. They've tried to call themselves patriots. They damn sure are not patriots. And the hugest insult ever that they could use is to try to attach their name to Louis Riel. So that's a huge insult to Louis Riel that they would try to attach their name to him. That was an attempt to maintain, that was an attempt to try to seem legit and patriotic. And they're not that at all. Louis Riel would have threw up at the idea that these people have thanked the police that's been killing Indigenous people. And let's not forget what happened to Louis Riel. And then they got the nerve at the end of this forum to issue out Louis Riel coins.
To all the participants.
Who the hell paid for the coins? Does that come from tax dollars? And you're going to be so nice. And I'm asking, does it come from tax dollars? So that's a question. So if it does come from tax dollars, how nice is that for you to just give it away to the people who attended the forum? Yeah, you're giving away what was theirs anyway, money, right? And so here's the thing. Do not try to attach yourself to Louis Riel because y'all are an insult to Louis Riel.
And you know what, folks? This is the MO again of Will Goudon, MMF Minister Will Goudon, and his personal attacks, always attacking somebody that doesn't believe with this fake propaganda. And this was his response to Tony Belcourt. Tony, very disappointed in this tweet. Absolutely anyone could participate, and there were several voices who differed from others. It wasn't about you.
It's not about you, Will Goudon.
And it says about the Métis Nation. Are you full of shit?
They're destroying the Métis Nation. Here's the thing. If it was about, if this was a true thing, they would have had representatives up there from the other Métis governments. They would have had these people up there representing. And instead, what they do, they excluded them. So this is no democracy, folks. Don't fall for the bullshit. There's no democracy there. Do not let them tell you that it is democratic. It is not democratic at all. They put up there who they wanted to put up there. They did not let a voice from the opposition. They didn't have them scheduled as a speaker. So this is bullshit. This is lies. This is not democratic. They had who they wanted as speakers, and that is wrong. That is a dictatorship. It's a one-sided deal to have people maintain control of your tax dollars. You don't have to kiss their asses for money that belongs to you for your Métis rights. All they are is just the middleman that's supposed to just go ahead and funnel the money. Instead, they hold it. They do this and this and this with it. And they're out there walking around with all these lips attached to their butts. You know, this is wrong. This is wrong. These are not the leaders. Will Goudon, David Chartrand, and Clem Chartier, they got to go, man. It's time for them to go. They cannot stay in leadership positions.
And I'm going to read a few thoughts and notes that we received from a director of the Metis Nation of BC, Louis DeJagua. He was in attendance at this forum. I'm not going to, I'll summarize a few of them, where he does say, again, it was hosted by President for Life, Clem Chartier, whose term has since expired, and we all know that he's running as a candidate for president in the Metis Nation of Saskatchewan in May. And he's actually the same person who wants every self-declared Métis person in Saskatchewan 16 years old and over to vote for him, regardless if their citizenship is vetted or not. So that's what the game plan of Clem Chartier for running for Métis Nation of Saskatchewan president in May. He wants every person in Saskatchewan 16, every self-declared Métis 16.
Self-declared.
Exactly.
Self-declared. He's so happy about that self-declarance. Yet, he wants to deny people that are Métis, that have genealogy. He wants to say, they're not Métis. You know why? Because they don't want to have to divide that money. It's easier to misappropriate the funds. Oops, this money disappeared. Or say on a piece of paper, we bought this, but as the audit proved, in the MNC audit, they had no way of proving that they actually purchased the things that they claimed to purchase.
And Lewis goes on to say in his review or thoughts on this recent forum, he says, we know that the Métis National Council headquarters have already relocated in the MMF building in Winnipeg, with staff apparently being put under the benefit packages of the MMF. We know that the address of that office has not been updated, and the MNC is in default of submitting their corporate filings for 2 years. In a previous show, we showed you that those corporate filings are due by June 2021, and we know that the MMF has voted on and is willing to pull out of the MNC. David Chartrand has done that before. And what didn't, and this is his thoughts, what didn't happen during this citizens forum should be concerning to all Métis citizens. Point one is, what exactly will be the makeup of this National Assembly? Number two, what role, if any, will the regional governments of Métis Nation BC, Métis Nation of Alberta, MNS, and MNO play, if any? Who votes in this National Assembly? Or do we just assume you appoint people? Number three, why weren't the regional governments part of this MNC event as they are governing members? So he brings the fact that MNS wasn't included, MNO wasn't included, and MNA wasn't included. Who authorized the money to put on this event? So this MNC Citizens Forum, who authorized the money? Number five, why was the suspended Métis Nation of BC president allowed to participate? She's suspended, so she's not a national leader.
Right.
She is not the president. So who allowed that to happen? And number six, who exactly is the third provisional government that they mention? And he goes on to say, and a lot of people have echoed this sentiment to us, most disturbing was David Chartrand's closing remarks. He talks about the MNC being taken over by a group of presidents. Is he referring to the democratically elected presidents of the regional governments? Is that not called democracy? Why hasn't, in the 30 years that the President for Life, Clem Chartier, developed a constitution for the MNC folks?
And keep in mind, we agree 100% with what Lewis said in his letter, because those are some valid points. See, when it comes to true democracy, Chartrand wants to jump up there and fight against it. And the fact that they held a Metis Nation Citizen Forum too, which is actually Metis Nepotism Forum, that shows you that they're not about democracy, because they didn't hold the MNC AGM. Instead, they went this route. So don't fall for their bullshit. This is what I want to tell you. Do not fall for it. Lewis asked some valid questions. Does anybody want to answer those questions?
And you know what? At the end of Lewis's statement and thoughts, it's really chilling. And he says that Mr. Chartrand continues to state that he will create a new government and develop a national registry. Then, of course, he digs into the MNO presidents, Tony Belcourt, Gary Lipinski, and Margaret Froh. All the while, the suspended Metis Nation of BC President Clara Morandal-Call and Clem Chartier just sit there and look on like they're lost in space. And this is the
Space Cadets.
They're space cadets.
Yeah.
This is the third invasion. The day is here. We are win. So here they are. We had Will Goudon attacking Tony Belcourt, and now we have David Chartrand digging into Tony Belcourt. And like I said, the suspended MNC President Clara Morandal-Call and Clem Chartier are lost in space somewhere, just looking on into the clouds there.
And we are a citizen Metis media outlet, and this is what we are. And they claim that they're accessible to the citizens, and they are not. We're the Metis Warrior Media Group, a citizens news outlet for the Metis people. Why have they actively hid things from the government, rigged up paperwork clearly? And that's what the audit says. We're not saying that. We're saying that the audit says that
we showed you actual pages of the audit.
The fonts ain't different. That's rigged up. The fonts aren't the same. I mean, that's rigged up. So I mean, you know, obviously, what the hell really happened, and why wasn't nobody prosecuted for that? Also, they're not. If this was about democracy, there would have been an MNC AGM, not a Metis Nation Citizens Forum, too. So this is not a democratic process at all. Not one at all. They claiming they haven't silenced people. No, they put people into place who they wanted in the place, and they damn sure did silence people by not allowing them to be there to speak as guests, to be there to speak. You know, they picked who they wanted to speak. They did not allow a fair forum.
Well, I mean, for this agenda, if you look at the agenda, they stacked the deck on people that they can control and manipulate. That's the only people that they wanted to speak at the Metis Nation of Saskatchewan, Metis Nation of Alberta, and MNO. They weren't allowed to participate. And then here you have calling a national leader a suspended president of the Metis Nation of BC, calling her a national leader. She's been suspended. She's broken her suspension over and over and over. Why won't people wake up? They're stacking the deck. They're rigging. They rig elections. They rig paperwork.
Yeah.
They rig this forum. And who authorized to pay for it?
Yeah, who authorized to pay for it? Just like that ad that they took out kissing the police chief's ass in Winnipeg. Who the hell authorized that? And let's ask the question again. And this is just a question, folks. Has the police chief, any of his family members, benefited financially from the MMF, David Chartrand, or any kind of way, any kind of attachment there? Have they benefited financially? And so these are things that we're digging into. We're digging into these things, and we're going to bring you this stuff in a future show.
Yeah, and you know what? Sort of on a closing note, and this is how shady and corrupt the MMF and disgusting they are. All the controversy with the alleged $30,000 ad supporting the Winnipeg police.
No, it was a real ad. The amount was what we questioned.
The alleged amount, pardon me. And here we have on March 26th a news release from the MMF where they're coming out with a new program, a $1 million program to give lost loved ones their voices back. So shouldn't this been done years and years ago? Because murdered and missing Indigenous women, people shot by the police, have been going on for years. So all the controversy,
this is a buyback.
The backlash, now all of a sudden they have money for a $1 million program. I want to ask you, Will Goudon, MMF, because we noticed all over social media, Will Goudon never shared one tweet, one post about the ad.
Yeah.
He's never shared that.
He's trying to disassociate himself.
Well, he's full of crap. Anyways, how much money did the Manitoba Métis Federation give families like Aisha Hudson? How much money did they give for funeral costs? Because we know that they had to start a GoFundMe for legal fees to sue the police or whatever they're doing. How much money has any Métis family that's had their loved one assaulted or shot by the police, how much money has the Manitoba Métis Federation donated to them? But now, poof, just like magic, after all the controversy over the ad, they've got $1 million for this program. Come on,
yeah,
why didn't you do that before?
And that's to buy the people back. That's to try to maintain control of the money. And here's what the people need to understand: this program, this $1 million program, can still stay in effect if you put new leaders in there. You don't need Chartrand, you don't need Chartier, and you don't need Goudin in there. You damn sure don't need people in there that are just going to throw this out to try to silence the people that are complaining about the ad, that supported the police, that's been killing Indigenous people out there. And I mean, that's just complete bullshit. But what we want to know is, what politicians has aided them? And this is what I want y'all to pay very close attention to, because this is a question. They say don't ask a question unless you know the answer. Here's the thing. I'm going to ask the question. What politicians has aided them to get away with the misappropriation of tax dollars? Now I need y'all, our listeners, to think about that.
And folks, I'm going to sort of end my statement on part of a statement I read earlier, and it's very true. And Métis citizens, I really want you to think about this and think hard. David Chartrand wants a Métis war. Don't give it to him, folks. Stand up for your rights. Don't be manipulated by David Chartrand, Clem Chartier. Clem Chartier wants anybody that self-identifies as Métis, 16 years old or older, to vote for him so he can be elected in May as the new president of the Métis Nation of Saskatchewan. All the while, he's still the president of the MNC, and I guess he's set for life with that, because he was supposed to step down and he never did. Lie after lie after lie.
Chartrand's a colonials who sold out his people. So this whole thing, he really don't want no war. That's what people are out there saying, that he wants a war. No, what Chartrand, what the people wants, they want democracy. They want fair and transparent leadership. That's what the people want. Do you want to call that a war because people are asking for democracy? You know, all we want in the Metis Warrior Media Group's transparency. That's all we want. We want democracy. We want equality for all Métis citizens out there. And y'all are not democratic at all, but when somebody speaks up that they want democracy, they come out there and holler about war. What kind of crap is that? So folks, what I want you to understand is, they think it's asking for war when you are asking for democracy. Now, as these leaders that you want out there running organizations that are in charge of the money that's rightfully yours, because you sign, when you join an organization, you're signing over your rights to the organization so that you may take part in the benefits. So this is rightfully your money. However, what they're doing is they're wanting to maintain control of it. And how much of it has already been used on trips? Good God, how many personal trips have them and their family members took to all these places? It's just insane.
Well, it's been alleged by that individual that Weinstein, the MNC, paid for his hotel in Ottawa, and he also lived in San Francisco.
Yeah,
it's really, and you know what? I got to get a kick out of this too. For this misguided person that is all over attacking Métis Nation of BC, this person had the audacity about the recent police ad that MMF took out. They said that the discontent with Chartrand is a low level of concern.
A low level of concern. That's a smart, intelligent individual right there.
They're not too bright.
No, they're not too bright. When you're looking at somebody who's going to say it's a low level of concern, I mean, no, it's a big level of concern when if you're calling Indigenous people being murdered by the police a low level of concern, you're a pathetic person. You're pathetic. You're pathetic to think that that's a low level of concern, that the citizens are pissed off, that Chartrand and the MMF gave a thank you to the police that have killed Indigenous people. That is a sorry ass thing to say, that it's a low area of concern when someone thanks the police that is killing Indigenous people. No, that's a high area of concern, not a low level. To the lambs out there saying, we don't want Chartrand to resign. No, that's not how you fight the battle. How you fight the battle is you ask for their resignation, get them the hell out of office, and get leadership in there that's going to really represent the people. Everything in that forum was nothing but a bullshit gathering. Keep that in mind.
Well, again, they stacked the deck with people on the agenda of the forum that they could control and manipulate, and they're diehard supporters of the fake blue blob homeland map and the MNC and MMF. So that's stacking the deck. It wasn't a forum accessible. Everybody was, you know, the MNM, MNS, MNO, I mean, they were brutalized. There was no democracy. So, Will Goudon, you're full of shit.
Yeah, and so to everybody out there, don't fall for it. Don't fall for the shit that you heard at that forum. What you need to do is actually support the self-governments out there and support people who are being transparent, like Louis D. Jaguar has definitely been a transparent leader, a true leader for the people out there in British Columbia. And let's make that let's voice that and make sure people know that. And everything that you heard at that forum by these people that were selected to speak there, it's funny again, they didn't select, it was not a democracy there, because why wasn't people there from Saskatchewan? Why wasn't people there from British Columbia, from the organizations? And why wasn't people there from Ontario? And when you look at it and say, hey, you know, they picked and choose who they wanted there. And so it's just a brainwashing tactic. And I would hope that our listeners are smarter than that and don't fall for it.
Yeah, I mean, if we could unify as a united against the corruption, misappropriation, and everything that's going on behind the scenes of the MMF and the MNC, we could unite as Métis people right across this great land of Canada. But we need to have more wolves and less sheep that are maybe bought and paid for by a Lure Real coin.
Yeah, or we call it the chapstick groupies out there. But you need more warriors, and y'all can call us controversial, y'all can call us aggressive, whatever, man. We're fighting a battle for fair treatment for all Métis. You call us whatever. I want y'all to keep in mind, the true threat to our Métis Nation is David Chartrand, Clem Chartier, and Will Goudon. That is the true threat to a democratic, to the democracy of our Métis Nation. They are the threat. This is not a democracy with these people.
It's time to get rid of the nepotism. It's time for new young blood in these Métis organizations that want to go with the times. We got to get out of the good old boys club and hoarding the money pot. And Métis people across Canada, we need to wake up. Wake up, please.
That's it for me.